What is up, YouTube? It's time for our first tip regarding tennis singles tactics, starting with your first line of defense, the baseline area. That's right. We're going to go over 4 tactics that are the core of winning tennis from this neutral and/or defensive area of the court. Now keep in mind, the singles tennis tactics mentioned here can only help you if you've got solid technical fundamentals. That's why I created a fun ground stroke technique certification you can check out in the link, maybe here or in the description, somewhere. It's 3 easy, fun steps to make sure you are in the brain trust. Okay, the first thing you want to do from this area is miss less. Seems simple? Well, it's not. I've charted tons of matches, and it's become painfully apparent that from the recreational level to pro tennis, the game is littered with unforced errors. I mean, when's the last time you didn't just beat yourself in a tennis match? Take, for example, this past Australian Open. In the first round of the men's draw, there were 4,322 winners versus 5,021 unforced errors. Now, of course, this doesn't take into account forced errors, but should certainly make you question your current belief that the only way to end a point is with a tweener lob followed by an around the net post winner. I'm sorry, you don't have that shot. So how do we miss less? Well, what you don't want to do to miss less from back here is become a dinker. Yeah, sure, these guys have a decent sized trophy room, but they've also been stuck at the 3.5 level for the past 38 years. If you think creating pace intrinsically means you'll commit drastically more unforced errors, then you might want to take a step back and go check out that ground stroke technique certification I mentioned earlier. What you do want to do is hit the vast majority of your balls cross court. I recently read a comment on social media critiquing Rafael Nadal. It said he was being too predictable hitting everything cross court. I would say he wins a lot because he doesn't miss. Your default programming should be to hit the crud out of the ball back cross court. First off, the court is 4.5 feet longer than down the line. That's a lot of real estate. Secondly, the net's lower. Thirdly, let's be honest, that winner you just hit down the line was an accident. You were actually trying to go back cross court and caught it late. Score for solid tactics. And don't just hit cross court. Hit cross court to big targets. I'd much rather see a player crush a ball to 25% of the court than try to guide a ball close to the line. Pace over place. So how do you program yourself to make hitting cross court your default reaction? Just make sure when you practice from this area or situation, most of your balls are going cross court. One drill I like to do is see how many balls in a row I can hit to a deep cross court target. Give yourself a score, then try to beat that score. Also, a video coming up in the near future will demonstrate how to properly train cross courts with a partner, so be sure to subscribe. Okay, the second thing you want to do to ensure you'll never miss again is hit the like button and subscribe. Okay, seriously. The second tip comes down to our very natural tendency to stare after we hit. Most people recover after they've watched what their ball has accomplished. This is partly because our vision isn't as good while we're moving and we don't like to not see what's going on. But let's be honest, there's very little that could happen where remaining outside of the court in this position is your best option. The amount of time you spend watching might seem insignificant to you, but in tennis terms, and from the perspective of, say, a higher level player, it's an eternity. Try to become aware of the stare. I see so many players lose control of a point or just not be able to take advantage of the following weaker, shorter ball because of the half second they spend watching. What you want to do is assume the recovery. Just go somewhere better, immediately. Be sure to recover not just toward the middle, but back and up toward the baseline. You'd be amazed how many more opportunities you get by assuming the recovery. Okay, for our third tennis singles tactics tip, I want to talk about movement again, particularly how quickly we arrive to the general location we need to be in. Have you ever noticed no matter how slow or fast the ball is coming, we always arrive just in time? I'm honestly not sure if this is a type of visual entrainment where we lock into the rhythm of whatever we're looking at, Or maybe it's also related to seeing better. Maybe it's a hunter-gatherer instinct to conserve energy. I mean, who knows when we'll randomly have to fight off a bear that jumps out of the woods next to the courts? I know it's not intentional laziness. Some of the hardest workers I've known have a tendency to move in rhythm with the incoming ball. I'm convinced, however, that the best players are able to knock themselves out of this hypnosis and play in front of the rhythm. In addition to just giving the brain more time to calculate other variables, they're able to take the ball slightly earlier and be the ones dictating play. One way to combat this tendency to work only as you have to is to be cautious of the way you train. Many people think going out and rallying up the middle of the court for an hour is preparing them for a tennis match. Yeah, it's great you're hitting tons of balls, but this simply isn't tennis. Tennis is an anaerobic sport. Points are typically short sprints, and training should be done that way as well. I would much rather a player train with more intensity and take more water breaks than start conserving energy because of mindless, lackadaisical hitting. Our third tip will actually help you a lot with our fourth and final tip. Subscribe to my YouTube channel. That's not the fourth tip. The fourth tip is to know how and when to take a ball on the rise. Taking the ball on the rise is a no-brainer. Even the biggest counterpunchers on tour will take a ball on the rise when necessary or when they smell blood. Taking the ball on the rise keeps you in better position while taking time away from your opponent, an exponential amount of time, as the ball loses speed as it travels. Tennis is all about time and position, and you've just knocked out two birds with one stone. If you think that this minor amount of time isn't a big deal, then you're not quite getting out of my YouTube channel what I'd like you to. Now, you don't always have to take the ball on its way up. You want to think about a range of movement. If you just have to take a step or two back to let the ball fall into a manageable contact, that's all good and well. But when you find yourself so far behind the baseline that you're now in the audience, you might want to rethink your strategy. Now, it's extremely hard to take a ball on the rise without a tracking motion or hitting zone on your ground strokes. Did I mention I had a quick, fun certification you could do to make sure you had your fundamentals down? But the only way to really learn how to take a ball on the rise is to just take the plunge and do it. Practice taking a ball on the rise. The swing you use for a ball coming down into your racket is going to be slightly different than one coming up into it. You'll notice when you first try to take the ball on the rise, you have a tendency to miss long, till you make some subtle racket face adjustments. Sure, we could break out the physics and geometry books and try to figure out the exact swing path and racket face angle, but these aren't things you can calculate while playing. This type of learning will be subconscious and only learned through practice and experience. I've noticed as a coach, it's hard to consistently recreate this ball that should be taken on the rise for students, versus say a ball that they might back up a little to hit. But you know who does feed it very well? Mr. Ball Machine. I recommend setting that sucker up right where you need it, and you'll be getting all the reps you need to master taking a ball on the rise. So to review, miss less, assume the recovery, play in front of the rhythm, and take the ball on the rise. Sure, there are some other baseline subtleties we'll get into later, but master these first, and I guarantee it will make a difference in your game. Until next time.